Well, it's the second week of LCS here in 2020 with coverage brought to you by Alienware. I'm joined right now by Vincent Wang, also known as Biofrost. The first time I think I'm interviewing you now that you're back on TSM.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Well, welcome back. It's cool to see you back in this outfit. Anyway, you're not in a good mood right now. I've picked up on this in the 2 minutes as we were preparing for this. Despite winning, do you want to explain to me why that win doesn't feel as sweet as maybe you'd like it to?
It's just because we played really poorly, and it just didn't show what we practiced in our scrims. So I think we could have done a lot better in a lot of different situations. So that's why I'm a little bit upset about it. But it's still better than losing, obviously.
Well, it is better than losing, that's for sure. What do you think has been going on with TSM? Because going into this week and after last one, a lot of people are like, obviously it's only 1 week, right? But a lot of people are like, whoa, TSM is not as good as we thought. Is this just like early split jitters or what's happening?
A lot of times when you first judge a roster, you just look at the roster on paper, and I think we have really good players on paper. But in the first week, we had our first game against Immortals. We just weren't focused on the right things, and our game was just abysmal. And then the other game, we had a 3-dragon lead and lost against Team Liquid. I think that was partially due to us making a couple mistakes, but also because our comp wasn't the best. And this week, we had a different focus. I think for most of the boot camp and up until the split starting, we focused on early game and how to have a good early game execution. So now, clearly our mid game it needs work. Yeah. So we've been focusing a lot on mid game and talking about our general philosophy around it and just trying to get on the same page. And that's really important because if you get on the same page in mid game, you don't have to communicate all this extra stuff and you kind of know what to do. It's normal standard team stuff. I think we're just starting to do it now, which is a little bit late than what we're normally used to, but we're on the right track.
So I know you weren't on the team last year, but I interviewed Jensen last Monday, and he mentioned that he feels like he's worried that TSM is lapsing into its old situation from last summer where the team just becomes really passive, especially in mid-game, late game. You mentioned you feel like the mid-game needs work. Do you think that's an issue? Is it just that you guys become really passive in the middle of the game?
I don't think it's about being passive. I would say our early game in these games have been a lot more passive than what we want to show. But our mid game, it's not about passive. It's just about doing the right thing, and we're not doing the right thing a lot of times. So if we don't do the right thing, we're down a lot of tempo, and then we can't really do anything. So it just looks like we're sitting there doing nothing. So it's just about us getting on the same page and knowing okay, these are the things that we need to do on these situations, and everyone actually knows that. Then we can start doing more proactive things. We just haven't even gotten there yet.
So I'm interviewing you immediately following Doublelift, and I know that a lot of people flame me for bringing him up, but I have a couple different questions based off of the stuff that I was talking about. He mentioned that he feels as though Sven right now is playing very well. I don't know how much you spend watching other bot lanes and on other teams, but what is your impression of his performance, especially because I feel like a lot of people are fascinated to see how he does now that he's joined Cloud9?
Cloud9 definitely seems like the best team right now, and Sven this is his meta where he's just really good and is on point. He's playing really well. I don't see him make mistakes usually, and he's just very consistent. So that's a huge part of why Cloud9 is doing well. But overall, I think their team just gels. Yeah. So it's nice to see.
And then conversely, you've got Kabe on your team. How do you feel the Kabe situation is working out? Because I think a lot of people are interested to see how he adapts to LCS. You spend more time with him than anybody else playing this game. So what is your impression of his performance so far?
I think our issues aren't as a duo. Ours is more as a team. We just need to figure out our stuff in mid game. Casper and I, we never really have issues in lane or if we have differing opinions. It's usually just mid game that we need to get on the same page as a team. Yeah, Casper's fine.
In lane, how do you think you guys stack up against the other bot lanes in the LCS right now?
Honestly, there's not a lot of skill expression in the bot lane right now. You see a lot of Braum Tom, and it's really depressing. Yeah. Literally, a plat player could probably come on stage and play Tahm Kench. It would look probably the same.
Well, and Peter was also complaining. I've heard a lot of people complaining recently about Senna. Is it frustrating for you to see her in so many games?
Yes, Senna is such an awful champion. Also, okay, first of all, Reddit, Riot wanted Senna to become a support champion, but she's only being played AD carry because she's so OP, and everyone's just playing Senna Tahm Kench, and it's so boring because you just farm and you're really obnoxious. You have really strong lane. You're really good mid game. You have good scaling. So like, why wouldn't you pick it? It's like the new Sona Tahm Kench, and I can't even say that anymore because EG also played a game of Sona Tahm Kench, which I felt like the whole league had a unspoken rule about not playing.
Maybe that's how they're evil.
Yeah, they're actually evil. That was the thing that sealed the deal for me.
Yeah.
They're evil, for sure.
Okay. Bring them back. But you're just. It sounds like you're just frustrated with the state of bot lane meta in general.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, this meta right now is characterized by all of the new champions that like has been released over like the couple of months, like Aphelios, Senna, and MF. We don't actually see a lot of MF here, but other regions they play MF a lot. So it's just Senna and Aphelios, and honestly, those champions are just overtuned. I feel like they should be nerfed ASAP. Otherwise, we're probably just gonna see them for like the rest of the split.
The other thing I wanted to bring up with you, I just in talking with Peter, he was mentioning that he feels like the Players Association, of which you are vice president, I believe, correct?
I'm treasurer, but I think we're kind of like removing those labels and just thinking of it as like a council.
Okay, yeah. He mentioned you as VP.
Yeah, I
So
think.
I don't know if you got promoted.
I don't think it's like a promotion, but it's just like,
Is it demotion?
yeah, who knows? But we're just all like same level now, except for Darshan.
Okay. You're all underneath him as his minions.
Yes.
Okay. Does he lord that over you?
No.
Okay. That's good. I just want to make sure he's not abusing his power. Anyway, so you guys are all running this thing. He promised that this year he's going to try to spend more time making the Players Association more relevant. So I'm kind of curious, do you have the same perspective that he has where the past couple of years Players Association has not been relevant? Do you think that this is the year where Players Association will rise to rival the orgs and Riot in power?
Yeah, I think we're actually actively making strides to making the Players Association be more effective. We had a really productive meeting about a week ago with all the players, and it was probably our biggest showing of like amount of people, and we discussed like what the players' concerns were and try to bring up like issues that maybe players don't even know that they want to be fixed. And overall, we have like a list of things that we want to push on, and I think in the past like 2 years, like the Players Association, I can name like one thing that we've probably done is just like we can scrim on the tournament client while like streaming, or like actually this split, our practice schedule went from 12 to 5, and that was like a major push from players. But I feel like also the teams just kind of agreed with that. So we haven't
From 12 to 5, sorry. And like you now scrim from 12 to 5.
We scrim from 12 to 5 with 5 games.
Okay.
So that's different from before. And we haven't really gone over issues that teams might be hesitant to agree with us or like riot. So that's a real test, right? Of whether or not we actually have any real power.
What's on the list?
The list, it's plentiful.
You don't want to say what's on the list?
Okay, I don't want to say what's on the list because let's say I don't want to say what's on the list.
Well, I've heard one thing that's on the list.
Okay.
And the thing is, long term, you guys want to create a server system where West Coast players get queued against other West Coast players on a West Coast server.
Yeah, this was Peter's idea actually, and I think it's a really good idea because.
Well, he said it was Lena's idea.
Oh.
I don't know if he communicated that to you guys.
Well, I guess it's Lena's idea then. But yeah, that's like a similar system to what CSGO has, and it would help pros at least get like a lower ping environment. We always complain about ping, and this would be helpful to resolve that.
What else is on the list?
I just said I didn't want to give you anything on the list.
He said, I think there was one other thing that he mentioned that they were working on, but I can't remember. Oh, well, do you have any strong opinion on the streaming situation where you can't stream against Academy games? Peter was complaining.
I don't know what's the reason behind that. Is it to like promote?
They want viewership to go on the Academy streams that people don't want to watch.
But I feel like if people don't want to watch, they just won't watch, right? It's like you're forcing them, like, oh yeah, we have a monopoly on it. No one else is like streaming. It's just these Academy games. That doesn't feel right.
So is this like a thing that's on the list?
it's not like a priority. We have other concerns that like actively affect players a lot more.
Like what?
No, you're trying to bait me. I'm not giving it up.
By the way, is my hair okay? Because Irene just walked by and he went like this to me, and it's made me. I'm very feeling self-conscious, like my hair was messed up. And earlier, Trisha from FlyQuest put this thing in my hair, so I'm just worried that like something got out of order.
You look fine, Travis.
Thank you. All right, but do you think the Players Association will affect change this year meaningfully?
Yes.
Okay. You just can't tell me what.
Can't tell you why. It'll be a surprise.
Okay.
When it comes out, you'll be like, wow.
How does this work? Do you guys like? So I know there's owners meetings with Riot.
Yeah.
Are you guys planning on just busting down the door, kicking it in? Darshan's in front. Zion Spartan is in front. Maybe did he change his name so that he could be a more like feared leader?
Yeah, we're actually just going to be cosplaying as like Spartans, just pushing it down.
Okay.
No.
But how does it work? Do you guys have like an official means of communicating?
Yeah, for sure. It's mainly through the players we have player reps now. Okay. So the player reps represent the like opinions of like each team, and those go to the executive community, and then we have Hal, the executive director. So a lot of it is just conversations back and forth between the owners and us, and we did actually have an owners meeting, like our first one about 2 months ago.
An owners meeting, like you met with all the owners?
Yeah. Okay. I believe Darshan and Golden Glue met with the owners to talk about like a bunch of issues that we had. And it was like the first of probably many that we're going to have. We just have to bring up these issues to the teams and like talk about and negotiate what each side wants.
Do you think the teams will actually take you guys seriously? Because I think the owners for a long time have been like, these are people that I literally have to hire people to essentially babysit. You know what I mean? It's like you guys have just finally left their homes. Like literally, they had homes that you were living in. You're now starting to live. Actually, you still live in the TSM house, right? You're still living in their homes.
No, I have my own house.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You bought the house. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Okay, whatever. There's other players that are still living in the team homes. Do you think you have enough that you can push back on them? Are you like the children rebelling against the parents?
That's not a good image, but I think it's mainly, we could just not play. Obviously, we signed a contract, but like,
woohoo! All right, here you heard it here.
No,
Biofrost confirms LCS players are willing to not play if their demands are not met.
No, I was joking.
You were joking, so you're not willing to leverage that. So they don't need to do anything because you'll just keep playing.
No, we're not a union, so we can't actually go on strike. Okay. But we can do other things. We can negotiate, and I'm sure the teams will be willing to negotiate with us.
Toilet paper the training facilities?
Bigger demands than that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying demands. I'm saying you can push back in different ways, like little harmless ruberies, like
little jabs.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
For an entire week, we'll make nothing but passive aggressive comments about organizations on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't think we want to go to social media because it can easily get really messy. Hopefully, we do everything like internal.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm excited to see what's happening. You happy to be back on TSM?
Am I happy?
Yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't very solid, but I'm fine. Yeah, okay. I'm doing good.
Good to hear. Is there anything you want to say to any of the fans?
Yeah. Thanks for supporting us, everyone. From like my past. I don't know where I was going with this, but thanks for supporting us, and hopefully we'll have better results in the future.
And hopefully they'll continue to support you when you guys all stop playing until your demands are met.
Hopefully the public is on our side when we go on strike. Okay.
Thank you for the quote. I needed a headline. Reddit, baby, #1. You can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching that interview. It's so good to be back at the LCS, and I'm really happy to be making content for all of you guys again. It's been a bit. It's been a bit for sure, and so I'm happy to be watching these games. Either way, I want to thank Alienware for sponsoring our coverage. Really appreciate everything that they do. They've got a bunch of cool stuff coming up over the course of this year. I know they've told me, I can't tell you too much, but stuff that they're going to be doing to try to support League esports fans even better than they did last year. So stay tuned for all that. There's a link in the video description, alienware.com/Travis. Check them out. That really helps me out. And be sure to subscribe to the channel because we're trying to get to 200K soon. So hopefully that ends up happening soon.